Hi, this is Siando Wright. Um, Today I talk about a book that I know I'm very late to the party on, and I'm sure a lot of people that studied political sciences are, rolling their eyes at the sheer lateness of my emancipation. But today I talk about Animal Farm by George Orwell, which is obviously a classical British book and one of the best books that I've obviously read, and very uh, well written, very vivid, and extremely creative. And it drives its author's point home without being preachy, which is something that I always wish that I will one day be able to do. And I always enjoy that in any kind of like revolutionary literature or, you know, opinionated fiction, I like to call it, where you get the author's, stance on a lot of things, but you don't get, you're not being talked at as a reader. So this book does that very brilliantly. And it tells the story of a farm that is taken over by animals who believe in a revolution, who believe in uprising so that they take the farm and rule themselves and become their own leaders and work for themselves. And all of this is supposed to happen under the guise of animalism. Obviously, I think we get, you know, what the comparison is to, but I like to kind of think of it even wider than, simply communism. But most African liberation movements kind of followed the same kind of pattern, and it becomes a very sad thing if you let yourself think about it, which I did repeatedly in the book, and so now I'm sad. Okay. Anyway, so the animals take over the farm. You have two animals that become the four leaders of the movement after the revolution, and the two animals are two pigs called Snowball and Napoleon. Now, Snowball is very smart. I think if I was to be anyone in the book, I would either be Snowball or the donkey, Benjamin. Skeptical and old. Anyway, um, Snowball is a true revolutionary. He's a really an animalist at heart. Truly believes in the principles of animalism, of making life equal for all animals, making life better for all animals, so that they work for themselves, to benefit themselves alone. So nobody is, scared that they're gonna get chopped up for dinner. They're not allowed to eat each other. There's 10 commandments, so you're not allowed to eat each other. You're not supposed to sleep in the house. You're not allowed to behave like a human being, basically. So there's all these things about being true to yourself, but also respecting other animals. So when it starts off, it's a paradise, and Snowball truly believes in that. Has so many initiatives for the betterment of animal life on Animal Farm. And then you have the other pig, who is Napoleon. Now, Napoleon is as smart as Well, it seems to be as smart as Snowball, but never agrees with Snowball. So I think at first you don't quite get why until time passes on, and only after Napoleon like destroys Snowball, I got touched. So I'm not gonna get into detail about what happened, because emotionally I'm not quite ready to deal with the trauma of what happened to my spirit animal in the book. So anyway, Snowball is removed from the farm and Napoleon becomes leader, and he is, to put it very lightly, hungry for power. So as a hungry pig who's hungry for power, he and changes rules, but over a very short period of time. So I just want you to quite understand exactly. How different things were. So from the beginning, you know, after Snowball is chased from the farm, animals are equal. Every day, they sing, songs of revolution, songs of equality, um, things are, as close to idyllic as they had hoped. So that's where it starts off with Napoleon, to where it ends, where he's actually living in the master's house now. They've changed all the songs. It's no longer, oh, animals are equal, long live the beasts of England. It's none of that. It's now, Napoleon is the mightiest of them all. And there's almost like a deification of Napoleon. He is now, when something good happens, it's all, if Napoleon is willing, this will happen, So it's gripping, it's thrilling, because it mirrors so much of a lot of the progress or development of African nations. And you cannot help but, hear all the dialogue and all the conversation. I hear it in, African accent or Tswana accent or South African accent. I hear it in Ugandan accent. I hear it in Nigerian accent. I hear it in all these, I hear all these accents that mirror, that showcase the similarity between the progress of this book and the progress of several African nations after independence. So it's funny if you want to hear the accents, but it's also kind of tragic if you're as emotional as I am. So, anyway, that was a serious sidetrack. Yes, so there's such a huge difference from when Snowball was there to when Napoleon was there. What shows that, I think, it's, at first my plan or my idea or my conclusion was that human beings perhaps are not equipped or are not able to, obviously these animals represent sentient beings, intelligent beings, so humans. And I wondered if maybe humans are just not able to live in societies that have no hierarchy, where there's no one who's in charge and better than anyone else. And I wonder if maybe we're just not cut out for that, especially in large numbers. So there's that. That's what I wanted to conclude. But then when I thought back to it, I realized that had it been Snowball that had taken over instead of Napoleon, things would have been different. And Snowball represents all these leaders that were cut at their at the beginning of their potential, at the beginning of what they could have been. And it's very interesting that I finished reading this, or I'm recording this review today, because today is the day that Patrice Lumumba of Congo, the first prime minister of Congo, died, and was assassinated by the West. And I think of it as, and that's Snowball in this book. We'll always think about what he could have done for the country. I will always think about what Snowball could have done for the farm. So that's also another interesting kind of thing to consider when you're reading the book. And so this is a very interesting book. I recommend you read it. Oh, another thing that I thought about was, again, I had a notebook where I wrote all this stuff down like a good YouTube person, and then life happened, and then is where I am. So anyway, so another interesting thing that I found, I'm going to say interesting about 20 times. I should have put that at the beginning of the video. Another interesting thing that really fascinated me was propaganda. So there was this pig that helped Napoleon, stay in power, obviously. And what he would do was, as Napoleon changed the rules, the way that the animals knew them, and the animals that believed in the old rules were being convinced to believe in the new ones, it was done in such a way that, Squealer was a pig that worked for Napoleon and spread all this propaganda to the animals, and helped them kind of accept the new order of things. And it was not only the propaganda, the process of telling them that I found so thrilling, was how easily they accepted it. I mean, a lot of them knew that it wasn't quite right, but the way that, Orwell explains it for them is he says, okay, maybe the animals didn't have that good of a memory, so they could have remembered wrong, the original rules. And so even when he changes things from A to Z, totally different things, the animals believe it. And I realized that it mirrored human nature in the sense that the animals believed because they wanted to believe, because they needed to believe that their, government or their leadership would not want to purposefully hurt them and always had that best interest at heart. And now I realize that, a lot of the time we blame nations, we blame citizens for allowing their leaders to do things that they do, but a lot of the time we want to believe that things are okay, and we want to believe that there's nothing sinister happening, and we're not party to any cruelty that is being done on our behalf. So that's what I thought about when I read the book. So it's a very interesting book. I recommend that you get it, and I know I have not said everything that I could possibly think of, but I would honestly never stop talking about this book if you gave me the chance. So if you read it a long time ago and you want to reread it, please get it. Tell me what you think. If you have read it already, just drop a comment or send me an email, then we can talk about the book, because I like talking to strangers about strange things on the internet. And yeah, so what else? So if you've read the book, tell me what you think. If you haven't read the book, get it, and tell me what you think and all that stuff. So I'm gonna sign off now. Sianda Writes on Twitter, or siandawrites.com, or subscribe to this channel and get alerted when I send out more videos. I will be talking about African books for the rest of the year, I think. And probably in my next video I'll talk about all the African books that I have, and then go on about how I'm going to read them, and then only read half, and then the usual basically. And anyway, thank you very much for watching, and like it if you like it. If you don't like it, I guess that's just life. And yeah, bye bye.